So what happens in the late 19th century is that the Army realizes they need more land for training soldiers. And so they approach the Watertown Chamber of Commerce and they say, do you have a space somewhere in the county with more land where we could do larger military maneuvers? We'd like to bring the cavalry, for instance, and that involves horses and men and big guns. And actually the Chamber of Commerce says, do we have the place for you? It's the Pine Plains. And so you have this very, very sandy landform, which is essentially the ancient glacial sand deposits from the earlier iterations of Lake Ontario. And it's not any good for farming. There's even a great quote, the only thing the Pine Plains are good for is raising hell and huckleberries.
The area known as Pine Plains would eventually be changed to Pine Camp and then again to Camp Drum in 1951. The name change was in honor of Lieutenant General Hugh Drum. General Drum served as the first United States Army's Chief of Staff during World War I. He was also commander of the First Army during the initial days of World War II. In 1974, the Army assigned a permanent garrison, and Camp Drum was renamed Fort Drum. On September 11, 1984, the Army announced Fort Drum would become the new home of the 10th Mountain Light Infantry Division. Originally activated in 1943 as the 10th Light Division Alpine and renamed the 10th Mountain Division in 1944, this group of hardy cold-weather soldiers fought in the snow-covered mountains of Italy and Austria. They faced some of the roughest terrain in World War II. After the war, the division was deactivated, only to be reactivated and redesignated as the 10th Infantry Division in 1948. At first, the division mostly trained soldiers, but in 1954, it was converted to a full combat division. The division was stationed in Germany until 1958, when it was once again deactivated. 27 years later, the 10th Infantry Division found a new home at Fort Drum. Newly reactivated and newly renamed, the 10th Mountain Division soldiers officially began training at Fort Drum on February 13, 1985, 40 years ago.
Well, simply put, it made Fort Drum a global power projection platform. So in February of '85, when the Army reactivated the 10th Mountain Division here, it was really about creating a new fighting force, a new type of formation for our Army. And you got to think back to the context. So this is coming out of the Vietnam War. We're in the buildup in the 1980s, and it was a bipolar world between the Soviet Union and the forces of the West, United States, leading that. And you needed to have a formation that could go anywhere in the world at a moment's notice without being encumbered by a bunch of equipment. And that was the genesis of the 10th Mountain Division Light Infantry, built for speed and strategic flexibility to go anywhere in the world.
Unlike other military installations, the Army intentionally designed Fort Drum and the 10th Mountain Division to fit into the local community seamlessly.
So 40 years ago, when the Army reactivated the 10th Mountain Division here, they really made a conscious decision to be completely integrated and dependent on this wonderful North Country community. So nearly $1.93 billion of economic impact into the North Country community. And Fort Drum, when you think about the number of soldiers that live here, the families that live here, the civilians that are employed here, and the retirees who, because of this wonderful environment, decide to stay here and make it their home, there's nearly 65,000 people who stay in the area and continue to contribute to the economy and the well-being of the North Country. And that's shown in respect from the community back to the Fort Drum soldiers and our entire division and units here. This is just a great place to live.
The division's mission is to train to rapidly deploy by air, sea, and land anywhere in the world and be prepared to fight upon arrival and win.
Well, simply put, when our nation calls, we must be ready to answer. And believe it, we are ready to go. We are the most deployed division in the United States Army. At this moment in time, we're serving all over the globe. That won't change. And it's because of this incredible installation, the incredible community, that our warfighting skills are honed, that our families are taken care of, and again, when the nation calls, we will be ready to answer.